Hello, everybody. So today's discussion will be how to heal the mind. So when I was discussing about legacy, there are 10 P framework, right? We start with all the passion, personality, punctuality, persistence, pattern in communication, then passion and productivity, problem solving. All those 10 P's are there. So I thought I'll start with legacy. Legacy is about passion. And do any of you have guessed why I used passion as legacy? Because always I have been talking that unless you have passion for this particular action, you cannot work on it, make it a legacy. So I have outlined this in passion. There are two aspects. One is legacy and another is giving back to whatever we have gained. So if we have gained a lot of from this universe, then we should give back. Whatever we have gained, we should give back because that is a blessing. And we have been fortunate enough to have received. Now, graduate to being a global giver. Now that requires graduating from one stage to the other. Why, because so many times I have spoken to people, women coach especially, and everybody talks about collaboration, but there is a very restricted view about collaboration. Because everybody needs to be established first and then collaborate. Because that is the qualifying line as to who you collaborate with. Now, if that is the reason, just give me a second. If that is the reason why you collaborate, then there are I have something to add here. First is the survival stage, then you stabilize, then you scale up, right? Stabilizing, and then there is something else also within. So if you are scaling up, if you are doing collaboration, then what happens to the survival stage? So it is kind of not supporting each other during the survival stage, because that is the crucial thing. And if the law of nature is such that it allows the fittest to survive, then yes, that is also is logical. I haven't yet found out the logic of collaborating once you are established. And I also have wondered whether people have collaborated after they are successful. That is easier, of course. But I have my questions, and also you might be also having. Collaboration is kind of reaching out to another person for your survival is kind of selfish thing. So if you are at the survival stage and you are trying to qualify yourself whether you are the fittest or not, then there are few things we need to keep in mind. The first is before we become dependent on somebody else for our scaling up, we should also prove to them that we are capable of surviving on our own. Don't you think that is the main reason we should be doing? Just give me a moment. So sorry about that. And if that is the case, then everybody has to go through this phase on his or her own. I don't think that is justified. Because but can you blame anybody? Can you blame anybody? No, you cannot. Once you are done with that stage, everybody will come to you, of course. I personally, I feel that there is something which makes me kind of remain aloof from other people, is that something which is a weakness or pride, or I don't know what it is. But if you are going through that phase, there is a mix of everything in this phase. You know, I'm talking about law of attraction, and if I am attracting this, then there is something inside that is going on which I need to work on, right? So let us start with some reading, and then we will, let me share the screen and show you what I have in mind so that you know what is there. Where it is. Yeah. Is it the thing? Yes. So see what I have here. I have this growth on, which of course is about Ivat, right? And in this, there are 4 stages of this I would call as tool set. Tool set is what? How to identify, how to stand out, which is difference. The second is resilience, in which I establish your, I don't establish, I help you establish your resilience. Third is the influence and provenance both, which I call as excellence. And in the influence stage, there is this thing called team building, which I call as power bonding and communication. That is influence. With these 2 tools, you can influence, and then you attain prominence or significance through poise, problem solving, and passion. So when you do these 2 stages, here is what I have in passion. Under passion, I have mentoring and giving back. So we will use these 2 stages to go to our how do we heal? So in mentoring, because I started this session with doing it all by ourselves. What do? You do this automation kind of thing because there is a vast thing of things to be done. habit of solving problems, which is, of course, in problem solving also is there. That habit needs to be made. Then becoming a small micro enterprise, you should start earning and impacting people, enabling for the next responsibility, which might be your own or collective. Then collaboration, metrics for finance compounding and scaling. What do I mean by all this? You have your money, you save that with automation. So you need to learn some digital thing, and then you help solving problems, because it is not the skill that matters, but it is the habits, the attitude and the mindset which actually helps in problem solving. Then becoming an SME, all these things require some skill. And if you do it all by yourself, then you burn out yourself. So do one of this. But again, mentoring is all about having a team so that you can delegate this or leverage or solve their problems while getting your problem solved. Now, how to graduate from being an individual entrepreneur to become a person with vision to help others and get help in that process. So there is a healing of the mind, because unless we do that, it becomes kind of selfish, very selfish. So let us start reading what we have here. So mental healings in ancient times, down through the ages, men of all nations have somehow, well, let me see also is there, also somehow instinctively believed that somewhere there resided a healing power which could restore to normal the functions and sensations of man's body. They believed that this strange power could be invoked under certain conditions and that the alleviation of human suffering would follow. The history of all nations presents testimony in support of this belief. In the early history of the world, the power of secretly influencing men for good or evil, including the healing of the sick, was said to be possessed by the priest and holy men of all nations. Healings of the sick was supposed to be a power derived directly by them from God, and the procedures and processes of healing varied throughout the world. The healing processes took the form of applications, supplications to God, attended by various care ceremonies such as the laying on of hands, incantations, the application of amulets, talismans, rings, relics, and images. For example, in the religions of antiquity, priests in the ancient temples gave drops to the patient and practiced hypnotic suggestions prior to the patient's sleep, telling him that the gods would visit him in his sleep and heal him. Many healings followed. Obviously, all this was the work of potent suggestions to the subconscious mind. After the performance of certain mysterious rites, the devotees of Hecate would see the goddess during sleep, provided that before going to sleep they had prayed to her according to weird and fantastic instructions. They were told to mix lizards with resin, frankincense, and myrrh, and pound all this together in the open air under the crescent moon. Healings were reported in many cases following this grotesque procedure. It is obvious that these strange procedures, as mentioned in the illustrations given, favored suggestion and acceptance by the subconscious mind of these people by making a powerful appeal to their imagination. Actually, in all these healings, the subconscious mind of the subject was the healer. In all ages, unofficial healers have obtained remarkable results in cases where authorized medical skill has failed. This gives pause for thought. How do these healers in all parts of the world effect their cures? The answer to all these healings is due to the blind belief of the sick person, which release the healing power resident in his subconscious mind. Many of the remedies and methods employed were rather strange and fantastic, which fire the imagination of the patients, causing an aroused emotional state. This state of mind facilitated the suggestion of health and was accepted both by conscious and subconscious mind of the sick. This will be elaborated on further in the next chapter. Biblical accounts on the use of the subconscious powers. What things soever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Note the difference in tenses. The inspired writer tells us to believe and accept as true the fact that our desire has already been accomplished and fulfilled, that it is already completed, and that its realization will follow as a thing in the future. The success of this technique depends on the confident conviction that the thought, the idea, the picture is already a fact in mind. In order for anything to have substance in the realm of mind, it must be thought of as actually existing there. Here, in a few cryptic words, is a concise and specific direction for making use of the creative power of thought by impressing upon the subconscious a particular thing which you desire. Your thought, idea, plan, or purpose is as real on its own plane as your hand or your heart. In following the biblical technique, you completely eliminate from your mind all consideration of conditions, circumstances, or anything which might imply adverse contingencies. You are planting a seed concept in the mind, which, if you leave it undisturbed, will infallibly germinate into external fruition. The prime condition which Jesus insisted upon was faith. Over and over again, you read in the Bible, according to your faith is it done unto you. If you plant certain types of seeds in the ground, you have faith. They will grow after their kind. This is the way of seeds. And trusting the laws of growth and agriculture, you know what the seeds will come forth after their kind. Faith, as mentioned in the Bible, is a way of thinking, an attitude of mind, an inner certitude, knowing that the idea you fully accept in your conscious mind will be embodied in your subconscious mind and made manifest. Faith is, in a sense, accepting as true what your reason and senses deny. That is a sorting out of the little, rational, analytical, conscious mind and embracing an attitude of complete reliance on the inner power of your subconscious mind. Here I want to say something. All my life, I have sought the approval of people who are not up to me. And that sounds like very ego, but just now when I was reading this came to my mind. Because without any reason, why people have kind of kept me away. No matter how much I tried. So that reason is I did not belong to them. Even if they would have accepted me, that might have made them uncomfortable dealing with me also, because I was not them. I was brought into this environment of them being aloof, even now, aloof from everybody, means that I don't belong here. So why to try and waste energy into being part of them? It is right away to get away from everybody's approval and company and get out of here. So when you repeatedly get into that kind of situation where you are rejected too often, nobody is comfortable speaking to you in that way. And when you speak, there is a kind of thing you don't resonate at all. And they are shrinking your capability into a small area. You are not comfortable, right? Are you comfortable getting into that small space? If not, no worries. Get out of here. And the audience that I'm speaking to, they will not be here. They will not be attentive if they are not resonating. So maybe it takes time to resonate with people who are at par with what I'm trying to say. It doesn't mean that I am superior or something. I come from a separate dimension, which is not very usual. It is unusual, and it will take its time to bear fruit and to become logical. Not everybody is everyday thing, even though we read so much. Even though we read so much about all these things, this is not ordinary. A classical instance of Bible technique is recorded in Matthew 9:28 to 30. And when he was come into the house, the blind man came to him, and Jesus saith unto them, believe ye that I am able to do this. So let us read in the words according to your faith, be it unto you. You can see that Jesus was actually appealing to the cooperation of the subconscious mind of the blind man. Their faith was their great expectancy, their inner feeling, their inner conviction that something miraculous would happen and that their prayer would be answered. And it was. This is the time-honored technique of healing utilized alike by all healing groups throughout the world, regardless of religious affiliation. In the words, see that no man know it, Jesus enjoins the newly healed patients not to discuss their healing because they might be subjected to the skeptical and derogatory criticism of the unbelieving. This might tend to undo the benefits they had received at the end of Jesus by depositing thoughts of fear, doubt, and anxiety in the subconscious mind. For with authority and power, he commanded the unclean spirits, and they came. When the sick came to Jesus to be healed, they were healed by their faith together with his faith and understanding of the healing power of the subconscious mind. So here something is very important. So when you discover your faith, you don't disclose or talk about it with somebody. Why? Because there will be a seed of doubt can be injected within you. Because other people haven't experienced the same faith as yours. So why to pollute that faith? You might say you will go into yourself, but that is way better than getting subjected to doubt. No, within yourself, you should be happy, and that is important. Whatever he decreed, he felt inwardly to be true. He and the people needing help were in the one universal subject mind. And his silent inner knowing and conviction of the healing power changed the negative, destructive patterns in the patient's subconscious. The reluctant healing were the automatic response to the internal mental change. His command was his appeal to the subconscious mind, the patient, plus his awareness, feeling, and absolute trust in the response to the subconscious mind to the words which spoke with authority. Miracles at various shrines throughout the world. It is an established fact that cures have taken place at various shrines throughout the world, such as in Japan, India, Europe, and America. I have visited several of the famous shrines in Japan. At the world famous shrine called Daibutsu is a gigantic divinity of bronze where Buddha is seated with folded hands and the head is inclined in an attitude of profound contemplative ecstasy. It is 42 feet in height and is called the Great Buddha. Here I saw young and old making offerings at its feet. Money, fruit, rice, and oranges were offered. Candles were lit. Incense was burned, and prayers of petition recited. The guide explained the chant of a young girl as she murmured a prayer, bowed low, and placed 2 oranges as an offering. She also lit a candle. He said she had lost her voice and it was restored at the shrine. She was thanking Buddha for restoring her voice. She had the simple faith that Buddha would give her back her singing voice if she followed a certain ritual, fasted, and made certain offerings. All this helped to kindle faith and expectancy, resulting in a conditioning of her mind to the point of belief. Her subconscious mind responded to her belief. To illustrate further the power of imagination and blind belief, I'll relate the case of a relative of mine who had tuberculosis. His lungs were badly diseased. His son decided to heal his father. He came home to Perth, Western Australia, where his father lived, and said to him that he had met a monk who had returned from one of the healing shrines in Europe. This monk sold him a piece of the true cross. He said that he gave the monk the equivalent of $500 for it. This young man had actually picked up a splinter of gold from the sidewalk, went to the jeweler's, and had it set in a ring so that it looked real. He told his father that just touching the ring of the cross healed many. He inflamed and fired his father's imagination to the point that the old gentleman snatched the ring from him, placed it over his chest, prayed silently, and went to sleep. In the morning, he was healed. All the clinic's tests proved negative. You know, of course, it was not the splinter of the wood from the sidewalk that healed him. It was his imagination aroused to an intense degree, plus the confident expectancy of a perfect healing. Imagination was joined to faith or subjective feeling, and the union of the two brought about a healing. The father never learned of the trick that had been played upon him. If he had, he probably would have had a relapse. He remained completely cured and passed away 15 years later at the age of 89. One universal healing principle. It is a well-known fact that all of the various schools of healing effect cures of the most wonderful character. The most obvious conclusion which strikes your mind is that there must be some underlying principle, which is common to them all, namely the subconscious mind. and the one process of healing is faith. It will now be in order to recall to your mind that once more the following fundamental truths. First, that you possess mental functions which have been distinguished by designating one the conscious mind and the other subconscious mind. Secondly, your subconscious mind is constantly amenable to the power of suggestion. Furthermore, your subconscious mind has complete control of the functions, conditions, and sensations of your body. I venture to believe that all the readers of this book are familiar with the fact that symptoms of almost any disease can be induced in hypnotic subjects by suggestions. For example, a subject in the hypnotic state can develop a high temperature, flushed face, or chills according to the nature of the suggestion given. By experiment, you can suggest to the person that he is paralyzed and cannot walk. It will be so. By illustration, you can hold a cup of cold water under the nose of the hypnotic subject and tell him, "This is full of paper, smell it." He will proceed to sneeze. What do you think caused him to sneeze? The water or the suggestion? If a man says he is allergic to Timothy grass, you can place a synthetic flower or an empty glass in front of his nose when he is in a hypnotic state and tell him it is Timothy grass. He will portray the usual allergic symptoms. This indicates that the cause of the disease is in the mind. The healing of the disease can also take place mentally. You realize that remarkable healings can take place through osteopathy, chiropractic medicine, and naturopathy, as well as through all the various religious bodies throughout the world. But it is obvious that all of these healings are brought about through the subconscious mind, the only healer there is. Notice how it heals a cut on your face caused by shaving. It knows exactly how to do it. The doctor dresses the wound and says, nature heals it. Nature refers to the natural law, the law of the subconscious mind or self-preservation, which is the function of the subconscious mind. The instinct of self-preservation is the first law of nature. Your strongest instinct is the most potent of all autosuggestions. Widely different theories. It would be tedious and unprofitable to discuss to any great extent the numerous theories advanced by different religious sects and prayer therapy groups. There are a great number who claim that because their theory produces results, it is therefore the correct. This, as explained in this chapter, is true. You are aware that there are all types of healing. French Anton Mesmer, an Austrian physician, 1734 to 1815, who practiced in Paris, discovered that by applying magnets to the diseased body, he could cure that disease miraculously. He also performed cures with various other pieces of glass and metals. He discontinued this form of healing and claimed that his cures were due to animal magnetism, theorizing that this substance was projected from the healer to the patient. This method of treating disease from then on was by hypnotism, which was called mesmerism in his day. Other physicians said that all his healings were due to suggestion and nothing else. All of these groups, such as psychiatrists, psychologists, osteopaths, chiropractors, physicians, and all the churches are using the one universal power resident in the subconscious mind. Each may proclaim the healing are due to their theory. The process of all healing is a definite positive mental attitude and inner attitude or a way of thinking or faith. Healing is due to confident expectancy, which acts as powerful suggestion. To the subconscious mind, releasing its healing potency. One man does not heal by a different power Then another. It is true, he may have his own theory or method. There is only one process of healing, and that is faith. There is only one healing power, namely your subconscious mind. Select the theory and method you prefer. You can rest assured, if you have faith, you shall get results. Views of Paracelsus. Philippius Paracelsus is famous Swiss alchemist and physician who lived from 1493 to 1541, was a great healer in his day. He stated what is now an obvious scientific fact. When he uttered these words, whether the object of your faith be real or false, you will nevertheless obtain the same effects. Thus, if I believed in Saint Peter's statue as I should have believed in Saint Peter himself, I shall obtain the same effects that I should have obtained from Saint Peter. But that is superstition. Faith, however, produces miracles, and whether it is true or false faith, it will always produce the same wonders. The views of Paracelsus were also entertained in the 16th century by Pietro Pompanagi, an Italian philosopher and contemporary of Paracelsus, who said, "We can easily conceive the marvelous effects which confidence and imagination can produce, particularly when both qualities are reciprocated between the subjects and the person who influences them." So, what do we think? We need to cultivate that faith. How to be confident? I have a process. My process is I know it will come from people around. Whoever is there around, I don't have to go to very far. No, I am wherever I am, and I'm listening to anybody and everybody whoever is speaking. So they don't know that I'm observing their sound at a very critical moment when I'm having a certain kind of questions, or in the morning I have that question, or say from 2 or 3 days I have the same questions. But I'll either read some book, some quotation, some Instagram reel, some Facebook reel, some Facebook post, some LinkedIn post, or I listen to somebody. They will certainly use that keyword that I am looking for. It is a certain kind of process which always gives me the certain kind of answer. And how do I know that those answers are correct? Those are meant for me. Immediately, I look for another sign, like the angelic sign, like 11:11, 10:10, 12:12. These are the angelic sign I have assigned to. The moment I hear a key observation by anybody, I read something, I immediately look at my clock. And if it is showing an angelic sign, then I take it that that is the message meant for me. Also, what I do is I look for my mentor, and he is look for my mentor in the pages of Telegram. If he is there within 5 minutes, then I decipher that as to be a sign. He is there because whenever there is a solution given to me, he has to be around somewhere. His energy has to be around somewhere. So if his energy is there within that, that is a sign I have taken. For you, any other sign would be working. So assign some sign which you can easily believe. So as I say, these are the signs I have assigned to myself. I didn't realize that those are the signs, but I have taken them as the signs. And I have two things which I am asking right now. One is, I have been all alone, like say, kept aloof from the circles where I thought I should belong, I was never allowed. So now I know I should belong to a group which resonates with how I think. I know I think very abstract, but my scales, my measures are very different. And when I was thinking like this, am I doing something wrong? Of course, I am doing so many things wrong. Not everything I am doing is perfect. Somebody else who is a successful, who is known to be successful, is that person doing everything right? It is not so. But why he is successful and not I am? It is because of the crop that he has sown. He might have sown a short-term crop, might be, possibly. And he can sow that particular crop time and again. And what is my crop? My crop is a long-term crop. And it will come once in a season. But it is a rare variety that I am producing. So as I am saying this is given to me. I don't say it all by myself. This is not from the logic. So it shows that it is a rare variety of fruit that I am producing, and it will have its own cycle. It is rare because it comes rare. If it is mango, then it is a biannual fruit. Something like this is happening to you also. If it is so, then know that you are in a very different kind of perspective. It will not be profuse, but it will be satisfying. Once you give that, you produce a kind of satisfaction, kind of empowerment, which goes beyond satisfaction. And this is a thought given to me just right now. How do I know this to be correct? Because it has not come from my logic. Get it? Okay. So these are the various experiments of people who are being healed mentally, emotionally, and sentimentally in the world itself. How do we, in the modern times, heal ourselves? One process of healing is there is only one universal healing principle operating through everything. The cat, the dog, the tree, the grass, the wind, the earth, for everything is alive. This life principle operates through the animal, vegetable, and mineral kingdoms as instinct and the law of growth. Man is consciously aware of this life principle, and he can consciously direct it to bless himself in countless ways. There are many different approaches, techniques, and methods in using the universal power, but there is only one process of healing, which is faith. For according to your faith, is it done unto you. The law of belief. All religions of the world represent forms of belief, and these beliefs are explained in many ways. The law of life is belief. What do you believe about yourself life, and the universe. It is done unto you as you believe. So, therapy is one. It is a combined function of the conscious and subconscious mind, scientifically directed. So, what works for you and me? How can we have this faith, the prayer, and the expectancy consistently working for us? Is there a way? Uh, Let us think through. Releasing the kinetic action of the subconscious mind. A psychologist friend of mine told me that one of his lungs was infected. X-rays and analysis showed the presence of tuberculosis. At night, before going to sleep, he would quietly affirm, every cell, nerve, tissue, and muscle of my lungs are now being made whole, pure, and perfect. My whole body is being restored to health and harmony. These are not his exact words, but they represent the essence of what he affirmed. A complete healing followed in about a month's time. Subsequent x rays showed a perfect healing. I wanted to know this method, so I asked him why he repeated the words prior to sleep. Here is his reply. The kinetic action of the subconscious mind continues throughout your sleep time period. Hence, give the subconscious mind something good to work on as you drop off into slumber. This was a very wise answer. In thinking of harmony and perfect health, he never mentioned his trouble by name. I strongly suggest, so here is one clue. Don't name your problem. You just tell it as abstract as possible so that it never gets defined. Once it is defined, it gets into your subconscious mind as a name. And it will be very difficult to erase it out. So, don't give your ailments a name or your depression a name. Don't talk about it because the moment you repeat it, that becomes a fact. So, practical techniques in mental healings. An engineer has a technique and a process for building a bridge or an engine. Like the engineer, your mind also has a technique for governing, controlling, and directing your life. You must realize that methods and techniques are primary. In building the Golden Gate Bridge, the chief engineer understood mathematical principles, stresses, and strains. Secondly, he had a picture of the ideal bridge across the peak. The third step was his application of tried and proven methods by which the principles were implemented until the bridge took form and we drive on it. There also are techniques and methods by which your prayers are answered. If your prayer is answered, there is a way in which it is answered. And this is a scientific way. Nothing happens by chance. This is a world of law and order. In this chapter, let us find all those techniques. When we come to analyze prayer, we discover there are many different approaches and methods. We will not consider the formal ritual prayers used in religious services. These have important place in group worship. So, whatever happens in religious places is a group worship, and that also has a vibration. But let us think about something which we individually do. Prayer is the soul's sincere desire. Your desire is your prayer. It comes out of your deepest needs and it reveals the things you want in life. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. That is really prayer. Life's hunger and thirst for peace, harmony, and health, joy, and all the other blessings in life. This consists essentially in inducing the subconscious mind to take over your request as handed it by the conscious mind. So you have to tell it to your subconscious mind consciously, right? This passing over is best accomplished in the reverie-like state. Know that in your deeper mind are infinite intelligence and infinite power. Just calmly think over what you want. See it coming into fuller fruition from this moment on forward. Be like the little girl who had a very bad cough and a sore throat. She declared firmly and repeatedly, "It is passing away now. It is passing away now. It passed away in about an hour." Use this technique with complete simplicity and naivety. Your subconscious will accept your blueprint. So let us do in a childlike manner that we are all being blessed with financial abundance, huge financial abundance. Huge financial abundance is coming to us within and out this way. So it will not come the way we think it should come, but it will come in a way, in its own way. Why should we bother? It should come to us. So if you were building a new home for yourself and family, you know that you would be intensely interested in regard to the blueprint for your home. You would see to it that the builders conformed to the blueprint. You would watch the material and select only the best wood. Still, in fact, the best of everything. So, if your blueprint is full of mental patterns of fear, worry, anxiety, or lack, and if you are despondent, doubtful, and cynical, then the textures of the mental material you are weaving into your mind will come forth as more toil, care, tension, anxiety, and limitation of all kinds. So today I face something which is limited. So am I building tension into my mind, or should I weave that into something which is very loving, very responsible, and very useful? The science and art of true prayer. The term science means knowledge which is coordinated, arranged, and systematized. Let us think of the science and art of true prayer as it deals with the fundamental principles of life and the techniques and processes by which they can be demonstrated in your life, as well as in the life of every human being when he applies them faithfully. The art is your technique of process, and the science behind it is the definite response of creative mind to your mental picture or thought. Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. So let us create an image first as to what we want. So how do we create? There is a visualization technique. So the easiest and most obvious way to formulate an idea is to visualize it, to see it in your mind's eye as vividly as if it were alive. You can see with the naked eye only what already exists in the external world. In a similar way, that which you can visualize in your mind's eye already exists in the invisible realms of your mind. Any picture which you have in your mind is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. What you form in your imagination is as real as any part of your body. The idea and the thought are real and will one day appear in your objective world if you are faithful to your mental image. That's something which we have imagined, right? It is in the imaginary world. It is given, but exists in that plane. Someday it will become reality for us. So, in the meantime, we have to keep looking at things which are which we already have imagined. So, So visualization is something we put a picture there, think, think about it and picture. But mental movie is another method wherein we feel something and we see the entire movie. It is like say we feel and take it step wise to another stage. Like just like suppose you are in love. So you are thinking about how you are in love, how the holding will go, how the romance, the passion stage will come, and how the stabilized love will come afterwards, after some time. Of course, it should come with the sheer attraction, the passion, and the first look of your lover. If you are in love, in passion, and if you are thinking about love right now. But what is the long term when you are not in passion? Don't you think that you are respected, you are cared for? So that is part of the mental movie as well. So that movie we need to play. There is another technique called Baudouin technique. Charles Baudouin was a professor at the Rothschild Institute in France. He was a brilliant psychotherapist and a research director of the New Nancy School of Healing, who in 1910 taught that the best way to impress the subconscious mind was to enter into a drowsy, sleepy state or a state akin to sleep in which all effort was reduced to a minimum. Then, in a quiet, passive, receptive way, by reflection, he would convey the idea to the subconscious. A very simple way of securing this impregnation of the subconscious mind is to condense the idea which is to be object of suggestion, to sum it up in a brief phrase which can be readily graven into the memory, and to repeat it over and over again in a lulla. So this is the chanting way. So what we do, the japa, is a mantra, right? It is a short phrase. Maybe the name of God, but behind that, each, although it is the same for many, but it will carry the weight of the ideal life of the person who chants it. Understood, right? So, and the sleeping technique is by entering into a sleepy, drowsy state, effort is reduced to a minimum. The conscious mind is submerged to a great extent when in a sleepy state. So the conscious mind has to be quietened so that the subconscious mind can take the whatever has been suggested to the conscious mind before going to sleep and reducing its activity needs to have this one kind of one direction which needs to be given to the subconscious mind. When it is giving this direction to the subconscious mind, it needs to have that depth, only that. So right now, if I'm thinking of giving the subconscious mind a direction, I should think of only those two things. So right now, I'm announcing that I am with my soulmate in that crimson mansion. The mansion means the abundance thing, wherein we are planning regularly about a future abundance, spiritual abundance thing, a spiritual kingdom. And we only work physically for 4 hours, but we, by being together, looking at each other, we design the future. And we know with our vibration that it is coming true. Thank you technique is Ho'oponopono, another technique wherein you say thank you to the world, to the universe for everything that you have or we enjoy. I use the argumentative method very much. Why? Because I think there has been a lot of injustice with me. Um, wherein we, with logic, we uh, convince something. This has worked for me in several ways. This also I have worked. So when I say that this is to happen to me because of certain things, certain certain sacrifices that I have made, then it uh, increases my expectancy. Right? Because I think that I have become um, deserving by all this. There is a sound wave therapy also. We can listen to those audios and also healing happens. So this also mm, comes with various sound healings as in Buddhism also. There is triple works. The tendency of the subconscious is life work. Over 90% of your mental life is subconscious. So, men and women who fail to make use of this marvelous power live within very narrow limits. Your subconscious processes are always life work and constructive. Your subconscious is the builder of your body and maintains all its vital functions. It is on the job 24 hours a day and never sleeps. It is always trying to help and preserve you from harm. Your subconscious mind is in touch with infinite life and boundless wisdom, and its impulses and ideas are always life form. The great aspirations, inspirations, and visions for a grander and nobler life spring from the subconscious. Your profoundest convictions are those you cannot argue about rationally because they do not come from your conscious mind. They come from your subconscious mind. Your subconscious speaks to you in intuitions, impulses, hunches, intimations, urges, and ideas. And it is always telling you to rise, transcend, grow, advance, adventure, and move forward to greater heights. The urge to love, so to save the lives of others, come comes from the depths of your subconscious. For example, during the great San Francisco earthquake and fire of April 18, 1906, invalids, the cripples who had been confined to bed for long periods of time, rose up and performed some of the most amazing feats of bravery and endurance. The intense desire welled up within them to save others at all cost, and their subconscious responded accordingly. Great artists, musicians, poets, speakers, and writers tune in with their subconscious powers and become animated and inspired. For example, Robert Louis Stevenson, before he went to sleep, used to charge his subconscious with the task of evolving stories for him while he slept. He was accustomed to ask his subconscious to give him a good marketable thriller when his bank account was low. Stevenson said the intelligence of his deeper mind gave him story piece by piece, like a serial. This shows how your subconscious will speak lofty and wise, saying to you, which your conscious mind knows nothing about. Mark Twain confided to the world on many occasions that he never worked in his life. All his humor and all his great writings were due to the fact that he tapped the inexhaustible reservoir of his subconscious mind. How the body portrays the workings of the mind. The interaction of your subconscious and conscious mind requires a similar interaction between the corresponding system of nerves. The cerebrospinal system in the organ of the conscious mind and the sympathetic system is the organ of subconscious mind. The cerebrospinal system is the channel through which you receive conscious perception by means of your five physical senses and exercise control over the movement of your body. This system has its nerves in the brain, and it is the channel of your volitional and conscious mental action. The sympathetic system, sometimes referred to as the involuntary nervous system, has its center in a ganglionic mass at the back of the stomach known as the solar plexus, and in sometimes spoken of as the abdominal brain. It is the channel of what mental action that mental action which consciously supports the vital functions of the body. The two systems may work separately or synchronously. Judge Thomas Troward says the vagus nerve passes out of the cerebral region as a portion of the voluntary system, and through it we control the vocal organs. Then it passes onward to the thorax, sending out branches to the heart and lungs. Finally, passing through the diaphragm, it loses the outer coating which distinguishes the nerves of the voluntary system and becomes identified with those of the sympathetic system. So, forming a connecting link between the two and making the man physically a single entity. Similarly, different areas of the brain indicates their connection with the objective and subjective activities of the mind respectively. And speaking in a general way, we may assign the frontal portion of the brain to the former and the posterior portion to the latter when the intermediate portion partakes of the character of both. A rather simple way of looking at the mental and physical interaction is to realize that your conscious mind grasps an idea which induces a corresponding vibration in your voluntary system of nerves. This in turn causes a similar current to be generated in your involuntary system of nerves, thus handling the idea over to your subconscious mind, which is the creative medium. This is how your thoughts become things. Every thought entertained by the conscious mind and accepted as true is sent by your brain to your solar plexus, the brain of your subconscious mind, to be made into your flesh and to be brought forth into your world as a reality. So your subconscious mind is there within the solar plexus, the Manipura chakra. There is an intelligence which takes care of the body. When you study the cellular system and the structure of the organs such as eyes, ears, heart, liver, bladder, etc., you learn they consist of group of cells which form a group intelligence, whereby they function together and are able to take orders and carry them out in deductive function at the suggestion of the master, which is the conscious mind. The subconscious mind works continually for the common good. The subjective self within you works continuously for the general good, reflecting an innate principle of harmony behind all things. Your subconscious mind has its own will, and it is a very real something in itself. It acts night and day, whether you act upon it or not. It is the builder of your body, but you cannot see, hear, or feel it building, as all this is a silent process. Your subconscious has a life of its own, which is always moving towards harmony, health, and peace. This is the divine norm within it, seeking expression through you all at all times. To think correctly, scientifically, we must know this truth. To know the truth is to be in harmony with the infinite intelligence and power of subconscious mind, which is always moving like every thought or action which is not harmonious, whether through ignorance or design, will result in discord and limitation of all kinds. Scientists inform us that you build a new body every 11 months. So you really only 11 months old from a physical standpoint. If you build defects back into your body by thoughts of fear, anger, jealousy, and ill will, you have no one to blame but yourself. So it takes 11 months for entire body to renew. So in the renewed body, we should have things of expectancy and faith. And to be healthy and abundant is normal. What's disease cure? So it is focused on the disease side, but what we can do is we can have a mind which can be cured from the expectations. So this is what we should be concluding with today. And tomorrow we'll continue how to get results of the conscious subconscious mind. So thank you for watching, and tomorrow we'll be discussing about something very vital, if at all it is possible. Thank you for watching.